You're all set.
Okay. We're on, it's on, everything's working. It's now 6 o'clock. Welcome to the summer season finale. Tuesday, August 13th, Board of Selectmen meeting. We've got a great show for you tonight, including a hazard mitigation public information meeting. I mean, everybody just buckle up. This is going to be exciting. But first we'll start with public comment. Oh, Chris, are you gonna stay? How long are you staying?
I can stay about an hour.
Okay, great. What is the reason that you are not physically present?
Thank you. I'm traveling for work. I'm in Chicago. I'm in a hotel room. I am by myself.
Awesome, thank you. Any votes tonight will be roll calls for our remote participation requirements. We'll start the evening with public comment. If there's anybody here to speak to an item not on the agenda, please come on up. Seeing none, we'll go right on to public hearings. Our first public hearing is for hazard mitigation plan, public information meeting. Come on up, Lee. We're ready for you.
Safe seat play. I hope everyone behind me can hear me because this is a public information meeting. I hope the
Do you
public.
want to come up here?
Huh?
No, bring it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, man. Yeah.
We would love that, Ariel.
Changing my routine.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm moving.
He doesn't look, look at him.
Hey, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lee Kimball. I am the town's emergency management director and have been since 2011. I'm here this evening to give you a presentation on the development of our hazard mitigation plan. This is not an adoption meeting, not a hearing for adoption, but it's just an informational meeting to highlight the process and give you an update as to the status of the document. First of all, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to have this public information meeting for the document. This document is an update of one of three requirements for town eligibility for federal and state grants. In addition to the hazard mitigation plan, the other one is the local emergency operation plan, which has to be updated every 5 years. By the way, the hazard mitigation plan also has to be updated every 5 years. And the third requirement is that we annually do what was called a NIMSCAS, which is a National Incident Management System Capability Assessment Tool, which we evaluate the capability of all our departments and other resources that support us during emergencies. This grant was awarded to the grants awarded to this town since 1973, and in the handout, there's a chart that shows the number of grants that have, or I should say, disaster-related grants or emergency response grants. But since 1973, by virtue of our compliance with the federal state requirements, the town has been awarded approximately $1.2 million of federal assistance for disaster recovery, EOC equipment, also for planning assistance, communications equipment, and generators. The generators for the new safety center, and also one with just processing final payments for a town shelter at the library. The Hazard Mitigation Committee was appointed a year ago, and we invited a number of other communities as well as utilities and other public interest groups in emergency response to participate. And there was about 17 individuals representing town departments, town boards, volunteers, town staff, public utilities, regional health, and Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission. The staff worked diligently to update what was the last plan of 2018 into a new document. It's been a very aggressive and diligent and very responsive group of individuals, and I can't thank them enough. And in the plan itself, it lists all those individuals that participated. I'm not going to list them here because I know I'm going to get somebody and they'll be offended. During the development of this plan, we started back in July of 2023. which I came to the board and asked for the acceptance of the regional planning committee to accept the grant from the state to administer or to coordinate the development plan for us. We've publicly distributed notices of the plan's development and their meetings on the town website for anyone that wanted to attend. We also developed a severe weather events hazard mitigation community survey, which was distributed throughout the community. We got a 60 response, somewhat lower than we anticipated, but it was very useful to us. This document represents 380 pages and does not include the appendices and or the maps that are associated with the document. It's about 100 pages larger than the last document due to some requirements based on the by the federal government. This plan was awarded through a FEMA grant, which they entitled the BRIC, which is a program that was instituted in 21 for development hazard mitigation related activities. The BRIC stands for Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. The grant itself is a 75-25 match grant, which means the town has to match 25% of the total grant in a form of a soft match. In other words, it's time and effort to put the document together. Interesting, I note that this was no cost as far as the dollar budget to the town involved. Just to some side data, the year-long process represents 600 plus individual hours and $16,500 of grant match, and we were only required to make $1,750. So to say this committee was a bunch of overachievers, and that's okay. Those number of hours do not include 24 two-hour meetings that we held on approximately every other week. And so that would, we're talking about an additional 700 hours that would went into this document. Prior to this meeting today, we posted online a copy of the draft document. We got a hard copy here. Also was distributed amongst the selectmen, as well as a fact sheet. And for those who didn't pick up, as a little fact sheet overview of what I'm talking about up there for your review. Some of the hazards that were addressed in this plan included drought, high wind, tropical storms, wildfire, flood, river, dam, winter ice, extreme temperatures, earthquakes, landslides, public health and biological issues, solar issues, solar storm issues, how it impacts the community, hazardous materials, human hazards, as well as technological hazards. So I just wanted a brief overview of the plan rather than going through the entire document. The plan itself talks about the planning process, how the committee was established, number of times that we met, and what the authorities and methodology was. In the plan also is a community profile, which is for any of the committees in this community. There's a wealth of information in there. Talks about a population, housing growth, land use, zoning, social vulnerability and equity, climate change resiliency, flooding vulnerability, local climate, extreme weather, and as well as the changes since our vulnerability since 2018. I have already mentioned that some of the hazard risks that were identified and assessed during the process. And we also talks about the vulnerability to the community as far as critical facilities, community facilities, as well as potential loss from natural disasters. If we had a major fire, an industrial complex here, or a major disaster in which we lost a lot of structures, you can go to this document and get a pretty accurate view as what the total dollar loss was to the community. In that document that was distributed is a list of the disaster declarations or disasters that have affected the Merrimack and as well as Hillsborough County. Hillsborough County was listed on here because of the regional plans commission's involvement in the process. And it also outlines the dollars that were awarded based on those individual disasters and or emergencies. As I said, there's probably about $1.2 million that the town has been awarded as a result of our compliance. Not all of that is during my tenure, some of it was before, but the majority of it was since 2011. So that is the document. Some of the things that I would encourage folks, by the way, the document will remain hard copy in the administrative office of the town manager. Also, it's still online. It'll stay online until we submit it to FEMA, which will be within a week. So if you have any comments, please get them to us before then. Some of the things I encourage you to look at is the hazard risk assessment on chapter 4, community vulnerability and assessment and loss assessment, the capability assessment, chapter 6, chapter 7, prior actions that we took that were identified in the previous plan as to the status of our addressing those issues. And also chapter 8 addresses the action plan, the things that we want to address down the road. As far as where we go from here, there's a little flow chart in your handout as well. We're up to the point where we will be submitting at the end of this week the document to the state of New Hampshire Homeland Security Emergency Management for their review. They will review the document and either yay or nay it, and if they have any questions, they will get back to us to address those issues that they identify. They will then submit it to the Federal Emergency Management Agency for their review. That's a little longer process, and it's going to take some time for them to actually get to the point where they bless the plan and adopt it. There's a schedule in there with that September 1st, this is we're going to submit the plan to folks, September 1st. That will be the time that we will have the approval pending adoption process initiated for the state. Then we will have in February, hopefully after the state review, the feds review it and give us a letter of authorization or adoption. We'll be back to you in February and March for the official adoption of the document. So I see the date of March 15th on there. I guess my date of December 30th is going to be pushed out a little bit. That's a personal issue. So that's my presentation. Again, I can't thank the participants in this process enough. It's been very tedious, very time consuming, but their dedication and input has been very beneficial, and the long-term benefits will be speeding down the road. I just wanted to address that there were some maps that I also included in a document that was online. We have the larger maps here. These maps will be also in the administrative office until such a time as the document is approved. Once the document is approved, we'll have additional copies of the map. We'll keep a copy here in this building, copy down at planning, and a copy in my office as well for you to see. So, any questions? There's gotta be some questions.
Yes, I see.
All right, Sandy was one of my loyal participants.
Yeah.
It's actually not a question. Sandy Crystal, One Shoreview Drive. I would suggest that maybe the maps at least could be placed like outside of the office so that if people come in and someone is busy or whatever, they could be viewed more easily.
Why don't I see if I can leave it down at the planning office?
Yeah.
And then you can refer the folks down there if somebody comes in and wants to look at the maps on the document. Good suggestion. Thank you.
Any other questions? Board members have questions?
I think one of the biggest takeaways from our last meeting was the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission really stressed the importance of having some semblance of a hazard mitigation committee that meets more regularly than
Instead of starting a whole new process.
That's one of the things that's listed on the flow chart. You'll
Yes.
see that at that hearing, when we formulated off the plan, we will reappoint a committee.
Yeah.
And we'll attempt to quarterly look at the issues that we've outlined, the things that we have to do,
right.
to make us more compliant.
And hopefully the next time around, it won't take the
Well,
1,000 hours that it needed, you know.
It still probably will, but
It may not take as much time from
I have to give a kudos
Employees
also
or-
to Eric Anderson for all the photos that he
yes.
has contributed to this document. He's our official photographer. And everyone, I thank him for their assistance in the process. Couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you very much, Lee. And thank you, Vice Chair Colby, for your representation on the hazard mitigation committees and to all of the members of the hazard mitigation committee who participated.
Thank you.
I thought we might be going through all 900 pages. I'm a little neat, we are not, but
If you
I
have trouble sleeping at night, it's a good document.
I will keep that in mind. I am not seeing any further questions, so I think we are now going to go on
Thank
to meetings. And our first meeting is about property revaluation. Come on up, Monica Hurley.
Good evening.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. There's a, huh? Yes, I do.
Okay.
I can
Or we can
manage.
present.
manage.
What I'm handing to you folks this evening is a book of the new values. There are 2 by location and there are 2 by owner name. So these are all the new values for the 2024 revaluation. Good evening, I'm Monica Hurley. I'm your contracted assessor through Corcoran Consulting Associates. I have been your assessing agent here in Bow since 2007. So I think this is probably my 5th or 6th reval, maybe 5th. Yeah. So, did you folks get the handouts, which include my memo for this evening, the sample notice of new value that will be going out to all taxpayers, and a list of all the qualified sales? There's that in the packet for this evening. Awesome. I can hand a few out if you wanted to pass some out here. During the course of the last 4 years, Corcoran Consulting has been working on what's called a cycle inspection program. So that program measures and inspects all 3,496 parcels within the community in over a span of 4 years. So we take a quarter of the town each year to measure and inspect. And then the 5th year is the revaluation year. This is where we're at today. The last revaluation took place in 2019. At that time, the median sale price for a single family home was $360,000. And the median sale price for a residential condominium was $347,500. By comparison, the median sale price today for a single family home in Bow is up to $600,000. The median sale price for a condominium is now up to $550,000. This represents an increase of 66% in single family sales and 58% in condominium sales. So these are huge numbers for the last 5 years. The New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration determined that the town's overall equalization level or ratio which is the level of assessment compared to sale prices, was down to 63.2% for 2023, sorry. The estimated ratio, if we did not do this revaluation, would have been approximately down to 59%. So this represents continued increase in the market of about 0.42% over the last 10 months. We've reviewed and qualified all of the sales in Bow that have happened from October 1st of 23 through August 5th of 24. There were 78 properties, which are broken down as 67 single families, 6 condominiums, 4 commercial and industrial, and 1 vacant land sale. However, there were more vacant land sales, but the Department of Revenue does not allow us to include those that sold in current use. So you have a lot of properties that sold on Old Sawmill, on Sawmill Road, Sundance Lane, that were in current use. So we can look at them and see where our new values lie, but as far as including them in our ratio study, we're not allowed to do that because each of those sales incurs a penalty of 10% of fair market value. After our analysis and field review, all of the tables in the CAMA system, which is computer assisted mass appraisal, were updated with new land, new building, and new depreciation schedules. Those tables are then applied globally to every property, and every property is repriced with these new schedules in order to reflect as close to 100% of market value as possible. Below are the following adjustments. Single family sales, we had 67. The median size was 22,206 square feet with a median sale price of 600,000. Our ratio now is at 99% for those properties. Condominiums, we had 6 qualified sales with a median size of 1,479 square feet, median sale price of $550,000. That median ratio is now coming in at 99%. The overall and I say estimated, the overall estimated increase in value for the town of Bow is estimated at $728 million as a result of this revaluation. I stress this does not include utility properties. We're still working on utility values. So that's not part of this equation. Single family homes, there's 2,639 properties in Bow that are single family home classified. They're going to see an average increase of 57%. Condominiums, we have 178 parcels, properties. They will be seeing an average increase of 66%, and those are residential condominiums, not commercial condominiums. Commercial industrial properties, you have 240 properties. That represents about 10% of your commercial base. They will see an average increase of 50%. This is very significant because each year we've done a revaluation. Commercial industrial properties have always lagged, where the rest of the community, we've gone up 30, 40, 50%. Commercials have only gone up in very small increments, maybe 5, 10, 15% at the most. We're going up 50% on commercial property. So there isn't going to be that massive shift for tax burden that we would normally see in a revaluation.
Say that again. I want to make sure I'm hearing it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
And the other revals we've been doing since 2007, commercial properties have lagged behind residential properties. So when residential properties were seeing 30, 40, or 50% increase, commercial properties were only seeing a 5, 10, or 15% increase. This time around, we have some good commercial sales. Things are picking up on 3A with all the work the town has done to bring in new businesses to Bow, and that's finally paying off. So instead of a small increase, you're seeing a much larger increase for commercial property. Now, it's not gonna do a lot of good as far as shifting, only because that only represents 10% of your base of properties.
So what I'm trying to understand is the new valuation of commercial properties going to offset the potential increase for residential? I see Chris shaking his head no.
Now, you don't have enough commercial properties to make that happen, okay? Say a community like Manchester has 30, 40% commercial. So they would have shifts, okay? But where at Bow, you have slightly less than 10% of that base, you're not gonna see a huge shift. And I don't know if Chris wants to weigh in.
Monica, if I heard the numbers right, we had 60-something% for single family houses and almost 60% for condos, but only 50% for the commercial industrial. Is that right?
That's correct.
So it's not a shift. It is a shift from commercial industrial to our residential properties.
Not by the increment it always has been, Chris.
No. Right.
Yeah.
It's a very, very small shift, but it
Yeah.
is if we were to kind of add up all the taxes for the residential houses for next year and all the commercial industrial, as a percentage, it would be slightly more for the residential over the commercial.
Correct. Yep.
But
That's
this
correct.
is the first time we've ever even seen the numbers close.
Yeah.
This is good news.
Absolutely. It is good news. It is good news. And again, that goes to all the work the town has been doing over the last 15 years is getting businesses onto that 3A.
Yeah.
And really marketing the town of Bow as a destination for new business. So it's finally paying off. So-
Did we cross the $2 billion mark for property assessments?
Oh, well, I was gonna get to that later, but if you want to get to it now, hold on.
It's gonna be close. I would bet the under, but it's close.
You can't even contain
Bet the
it.
We are 2.1 billion. But that number includes exempt properties. So if I take out your exempt properties, you might barely be at 2 billion.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so our increase, like I said, is about $728 million in assessed value, which is huge. Yes. What I've attached for you is a sample notification that will be mailed out to all property owners probably next week, or on or about August 20th. The notification is a two-sided document which explains why the town completed the revaluation. And it will show what the new value is for taxpayers, broken down by land, building, and total. There's a note on there, do not use the old tax rate to calculate what your tax bill will be. We will not have the new tax rate set until late October. So that's the crystal ball that I don't have. And that's where a lot of people get concerned, but we're trying to make it very clear on this notice. We don't know what the tax rate will be. Theoretically, if you didn't vote to build 3 new schools and 5 new community centers,
We didn't do that.
okay, then your tax rate should come down proportionately, but I don't have that crystal ball, so.
But it will come down a lot.
Yes,
You don't add $700 million to the property tax base. Even with some payments on the schools, we're talking a sub $20 tax rate, I would assume.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
The second side of the notice gives taxpayers some frequently asked questions and answers. Plus a phone number to call if they'd like to schedule an informal meeting with us to discuss new values. So we always provide informal hearings where people can come in. They can take a look at the books that I've given you. We also have books with all the qualified sales that were used. So that if someone comes in and says, well, I have a cape that was built in 1960 and it's only got 2,000 square feet. How can you value it like that? We have books with all of the sales that we've used to determine value. So people can come in for that. They can get more information about the property, how we arrived at the value. And people will also be able to come in and submit any documentation that they would like to support their opinion of market value. That can include recent fee appraisals, recent market analysis. If they'd like, they can discuss, we'll go over their property record card with them. Maybe they don't have 3 bathrooms, maybe they only have 2. We will note that and schedule a meeting to go out to their property to verify any of that information. Anyone that comes to a hearing is going to get a second notice from us. That second notice will tell them whether there's a change or not to their value. And they'll get that within 2 weeks after their hearing date. From there, we will finalize values and complete the MS1. And during that time, I'll also be completing your utility values in September. So
Maybe I missed it, MS1.
the MS1 is the annual filing we do to the state with all of the total valuation, the total utility values, all of our exemptions and credits, which is what they help the state uses to partially base your tax rate, your new tax rate on. Yep. And then I've included all of the sales in a Excel format for you. So you can look through that. We also took a look at properties that are being listed on the market right now, and we are within 5% on average of current asking prices on the market. Doesn't mean a whole lot because right now people are bidding far more than what the asking price is, but that's it. Are there any questions for me?
Well, you're asking us to. Well,
The MS1 is always due September 1st of any given year. We would ask for an extension because our hearings are going to be starting September 6th. Let me go through that again. September 9th, I'm sorry, through the 20th. So we need extra time to review all of the hearings and make any changes as necessary. So yes, in addition to approving the new values for this evening, I'd be asking for your approval to file an extension for the MS1 to October 18th.
Yes.
Yes. Let's repeat this.
so you just to approve all.
I know, it's 3,400. Yeah. Again,
I'll make the motion to approve the assessments that Monica presented, along with permission to file an extension for the MS1 till October 18th.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. If you are in favor, you'll say aye.
Aye.
Selectman Nicholas.
Aye.
Already. Vice Chair Colvin. Selectman McDaniel. Chair votes aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes 5-0.
I would recommend that we get something out on our Facebook page to let people know that the notice is coming, and that they, once they've had a chance to look at their new assessments, that they can schedule a meeting with the assessing team.
Yes, that's a good idea. Thank you.
These are gonna, they're gonna be shocking for folks, right? When you start seeing your
Yeah.
assessment go up to almost 60% for some folks.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of new millionaires in town when they see their new assessment.
Shannon in our office has been handling some of our PR for social media, because I'm an old lady and I don't know much about social media. So she's been handling a lot of that for us. But we'll make sure to let her know tomorrow if she could post something on Facebook. We've also been putting out information in the Bow Times as well as our assessing webpage, trying to let people know that this was coming. And did you have another question?
When will it be put online on the Vision website?
I will do that. I have to call Vision tomorrow and put in a ticket for it. But for cardiographics, I can do that tomorrow. Yeah, that's an easy upload I can do. In the meantime, if any of you folks have any questions, you can always email me or get in touch with me at the assessing department.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you so much.
Okay, moving right along, we have Mr. Peter MC.
Thanks.
Got elections. 4 weeks, 28 days.
That's right. Just around the corner. Thank you, folks, for making time to hear from us. And really, it's not only me who's here tonight, but also have Madrula, our Maniac, our town clerk, Kate S., one of our supervisor checklists, and Beth Titus are also here. And Amy got here, and Amy never made it too. Fantastic. And some of you veterans may be saying, Peter usually doesn't come to our meetings. He comes before town meeting, but he doesn't come before elections. But when we were having some conversations with the clerk and the supervisors about the fact that this is probably going to be an unusual year. And just because of the very contested races going on, but also we have 2 brand new members of the select board. We have 2 members of the select board who are running, who won't be able to help us on election day. And it seemed to make sense to come visit for a few minutes to talk about what we do at elections, what the select board does and where we go from here. So the headline is, I'm not coming here with any problems. I'm not gonna come here with any issues. I'm not coming here to lay anything on the table to cause trouble, but more for, I view the supervisors, the clerk and myself as, your primary election team to have all of us meet with you and make sure we're all coordinated. Headlines, a couple things. As far as the site setup, we think what we've been doing ever since, COVID has been working really well. And so we don't foresee changing, the voting space setup significantly. We're going to start with 4 check-in lines, see how it goes. If we don't need 4, we may go down to 3, but better to have more than we need than not. But otherwise, it'll be the usual people come in through the former garage and feed into the voting area. And we're going to try to set up a different way for people to exit, to return to undeclared, to kind of avoid the congestion of the exit door. Hope that will work as well with some big signage. But no big thing there. I think it's probably appropriate to note both select board members, Brennan and Colby are on the ballot. When you're on the ballot, you can't work the polls. So under state law, if select board members can't attend, can't discharge their duties, they can appoint substitutes. And I've been notified that Select Board Colby has appointed Harry Judd to be her Select Board Pro Tem representative during the day, and Select Board member Brennan has appointed Jack Crisp to serve for the day. So the nice thing about both of them, they're former Select Board members themselves, so I hope I don't have to do a lot of training with them. Yes, no, that will be good.
Solid advice for.
That's right. That will be great. But for the new select board members, I guess, I'm never sure at these meetings whether I can use first names or I have to use last names. I guess you folks tell me.
You can do whatever you want, Peter.
Okay.
The all-star moderator.
No, I'm not.
That's for you.
All right. Well, with that permission, then, Kip and Ian, if you haven't been told yet, you're expected to be there all day on election day. And I rely a lot on the select board members who are there to fill in and cover whatever, duties I might need. Sometimes I might ask you to be outside helping people get in the right lines to register or to vote. Sometimes you might be managing the door, getting people in the right place in the alphabet. Sometimes we might have a ballot clerk who needs a, bathroom break and we need someone to sit at the table, for a while. Oftentimes I lose my chair at the ballot box because the select board members love to sit there and chat with the voters as they cast their ballots.
Stickers.
Yeah. We process absentee ballots during the day and we try to line up volunteers to handle that. But if you happen to be short, sometimes I'll tap in to the select board members to help process the absentee ballots. Sometimes even during busy times of day, we need help sort of right what I consider the middle of the floor, getting voters to empty voter booths if they can't find a place to vote. And then as we get toward the end of the day, and we need to count the write-in votes, we need to count some ballots need to be hand counted at the end of the day. We need help there as well. Really, I'll be looking to you folks to help out. And will I have something for you every minute of every day? Not necessarily. So you can bring something to read, but if it's a busy day, I may, be putting you to work. Look forward to working with you. And I think every new select board member who works in election kind of ends the day saying, this was incredible. So I hope you have the same experience. It's a new experience. I know, Chris.
I didn't say anything, Peter. I just smiled when you said at the end of the 12-hour day that we're thinking.
Yeah. Well, you're happy because it's the end of the 12-hour day, right? I think another top, it's going to sound totally mundane and silly, but, it's gone through an evolution. So I just want to make sure we're all clear on it. We've sort of had this evolution of how food for the election workers get procured. It's my understanding now, the town is taking care of food. And I think the supervisors checklist are coordinating with you, Tanya, to how many we need, what we need, when we need it. And that's okay with you and you can handle it. And the supervisors, you are getting along? Okay, good. Good. Okay, that's good. And that kind of ties back, one of the select board things that I might ask is, one job that sometimes gets overlooked and we sometimes get scolded with by the rec folks the next morning is we don't clean up as well as we should after with the food up on the stage after we've eaten. So if you can help me remember to take a look up on the stage and make sure we pack everything up and get our garbage out of the way and get the food out of the way, that would be fantastic. But other than that, I think, we will shortly be sending out our notice to our army of volunteers, saying who can work September, how much time do you have to commit, and then starting to slot people into their time slots. And I think I was just reading a story the other day about, New Hampshire bucking the national tide about volunteers, and, Bo is definitely in that category of, the interest in elections in recent years has spurred a real interest in people volunteering. So we've had a lot of people calling up out of the blue, just saying, I'd like to help, I'd like to help. And so that's great. So I think it won't be long before we send those notices out, right?
Started some today for the inspectors of the election.
Fantastic.
We got a couple people returning,
Great.
returning responses.
Yeah, good. So have I forgotten anything, folks? My loyal team here is the one that kind of reminds me of all the things I'm supposed to talk about. So that's basically it, welcome to the team, new guy folks. Thanks for appointing subs. Chris, look forward to seeing you there through the end of the day. And, I don't want to make your meeting any longer than it needs to be, but, as I've said before, thank you for your support over the years. Thanks for all you do to help make my job work better, because you support me and you support us in doing the elections, and it makes it really work well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you for always keeping our election safe, secure, and efficient with your whole team.
I try.
Does a great job and we appreciate it.
I would just say that I think Ian and I are happy to be inside the room.
Absolutely.
Rather than outside in 15-degree weather.
I'm glad we got
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll just, while we have the floor for a second, typically, Ian and Kip, we try to have 3 selectmen at the polls all day. And so in a typical election, when we don't have people on the ballots, we're able to get about a 3 or 4 hour window away so that we can all kind of balance our days the best ways possible. That's tougher when we have 2 candidates on the ballots. And so it will be some long days. But if there is something in life that needs to happen, just coordinate and make sure that the other 2 of us are going to be there. And we'll make sure there's at the bare minimum 2 of us there.
And remember, there are 2 select board pro tem members, so you should have 5 available to rotate through the day.
No, the coverage will be fine. I just think that the idea of having a majority of the board there. But thank you. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
All right, next up, Boat Telecommunications Committee update. I know we don't have Dee here, but we do have Deb McCann. Come on up.
I'm pinch hitting because our chair D is out of state. Ooh, lower. So this is really just a formality. Deb McCann, 32 Branch Londonderry Turnpike East. So it's basically, you all got copies of the final report from Isotrope. It's had a couple iterations, changes and all. And so just to have you guys approve the final report. Because we definitely use them a lot.
Did the bid come in on, I think we had an RFP, so we knew what it was going to cost. Is that right?
No, we haven't gotten to any bidding process at this point. The money,
So the last one was approved to do.
This.
Money for report.
the study.
Yeah.
And it was found somewhere in funds. You guys came for us. So there's been no bid yet.
I thought we paid them for this report.
We did,
I'm just asking if it came in on budget.
Yes.
yes.
Thank you.
Oh, we definitely got our money's worth out of it. We went back to them 3 or 4 times for different iterations of different maps. And they were very accommodating. The fellow that we worked with was very, very helpful.
And what do we need? Do we need to approve this, Stephen, or we're just accepting it? Thank you so much for your commitment to the telecommunications.
Wow, what the charge was, bring recommendations to the board.
Yeah, this is
And this is the recommendation.
And-
So now you identified the tower.
we
Area.
have the recommendations that fit the charge. And everything that we've done over the last 17 months is going to be presented at the public presentation at the Baker Free Library on September 9th. So
Right.
it'll be,
Has anybody cross-checked their work with the actual performance of the tower?
Well, these are hypothetical.
No, I think he's talking about the existing tower.
So they just.
No, right. I had seen one iteration of their report that said that there would not be reception at the school. I've heard from several people that there is in fact now reception at the school. And so if we have their RF analysis that says there's going to be no reception in these spots, and now in fact we can prove that there is, does it warrant considering that when we consider their analysis?
I don't understand the question.
What?
I don't, that tower was independent and online after our conclusion came back. So
Right, but
two separate races.
I'm just asking the question, which is, we saw a report, we saw an RF report that said that the tower that we put up, the Rising Tide Tower, would not provide coverage to the school. I don't have AT&T, so I have not confirmed this myself, but I've heard from several people that there is, in fact, coverage at the school now from the Rising Tide Tower.
Yes.
If that is true, if both of those statements are true, their report said it wasn't going to be there, and we do have it. Should that be considered before we move forward with any recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Isotrope would be taking a look at a part of what they were responsible for was considering the tower if it wasn't going up and considering the tower if it was going up and doing the study based on real world data.
We have heard that the tower went up and was online faster than they anticipated, and that there is, and that it's working better than they anticipated, but we have no corroboration of how they've done that. We just had a meeting on the 8th, and somebody, I can't remember who was supposed to reach out to AT&T and see, are they doing drive-bys? I mean, I understand that you have AT&T, correct?
Yeah, because I was saying, I went back to my photos
Mhm.
at the school track and at the high school front doors. I had 3 bars.
Okay,
Now, those things vary,
right,
but it was, I used the track regularly, much stronger than it was.
right,
Pre the tower being turned on.
right.
And, and some of these maps, it's not 100% saying just because a map says they're running a service, it doesn't mean you are. Right? There's a lot of variations in that, so taking in the high school to account, no, it doesn't reflect that. It's just what they project, right? A lot of it's projections. Like the isotrope report is projecting it probably wouldn't be such a great signal there. But good news.
I think I agree with everybody.
Yeah.
And my concern is that we're going to show up and talk to the library about this with a report that says there is going to be no reception at the school. And
That's not what
No,
we're,
that's out the window. We don't say that.
We don't say that at all. That's not.
Isn't
the
that what their RF study said?
No, it said it would benefit by having another one at the high school, like at the,
There's layover.
yes.
Yeah, there's layover from additional towers that strengthen. And saying that there's coverage at the high school, like you could have one bar, that's still considered coverage. So, but it's just if you have AT&T. So right now Verizon is going up.
And so that doesn't mean,
Yeah.
so Chris, that doesn't mean just because Kip has 3 bars at the high school with AT&T, Verizon's gonna be 10 feet lower on the poles. That doesn't mean that, so it actually varies carrier to carrier essentially as to who.
Alright.
So to answer your question, yes, it doesn't outline AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile, but everyone's gonna be a little bit different. And so that's why the maps would say it may not work at the high school, parentheses, if you have Verizon or, you know, like,
Right. But to be clear, I saw a map that said the Rising Tide Tower would not have reception at the high school. If AT&T has 3 bars at the high school, I don't have much faith in the RF map any longer.
understood. I don't believe any of our maps said that.
Well, we were in a meeting in that room that said this tower is not
When
going to
was
come to
this?
high school. I was in the meeting.
When we,
That was
That was
pre this committee. This was before this committee.
my recollection, because I was sitting on the planning board at the time, and this took up many an evening. It wasn't that there would be no service at the high school. It was that it would not be, and Sandy can confirm or deny as well. It was that it wouldn't be phenomenal service. That was sort of our understanding, because in the end, the decision, the reason we had a unanimous vote is because Dave Glazier, who is on the board, basically said, this comes down to safety and how we're not gonna be able to look at each other if something happens in high school and kids can't call. And because there was good enough coverage at the high school, that was a big reason for approving it. So that's my recollection. And so what day is the hearing, the public hearing?
The 9th, it's Monday, the 9th.
So you're submitting this to the select board, and then that hearing, what will be the goal of that hearing beyond public?
Well, I mean, the one big goal of the committee itself is to be totally transparent as to what we've been doing all along. So everything that we've done, all the minutes, all the maps, everything is on the website. Tanya's been really great in putting stuff on the website. So this report will be on the website. We just had a meeting the other day where we have a little subcommittee of the better technological people on the committee to do the PowerPoint. And so we will, for people that have just moved into town or have not been following, we will describe the committee when it started, how it got there, the action steps we've taken. We'll incorporate the survey results that we sent out, and then we'll have maps. So we're going to have at least one map. Is the coverage that existed before everything. And I think that's what Selectman Nicolopoulos is talking about, of what happened before Rising Tide went up. Okay. And then we'll have another map with an overlay, because the recommendations are to have separate towers in different parts of town to work with the tower that just went online, which is heretofore to be described as the Bow Center Road Tower, because Rising Tide is in the process of selling it, so we can't call it the Rising Tide Tower anymore. That has gone on, and then we can add other towers and get what they call overlay, so they talk to each other. We've also tried to, there is a tower that does not belong to the town of Bow, but it's on South Bow Road. It's a Hooksett Tower that has to be rebuilt. Right now, it's just for emergency, but that will help us too, bringing stuff out to 3A. But the overlays will show, actually, they're pretty, when you see the one initial map, there's a lot of red areas where there's gaps, all the gaps, and you can see where the gaps are. Then you see the overlay of that, and it's mostly green, which is the charge of the committee was 95% coverage for the town of Bow with the least amount of towers. So,
there's nothing to do officially. All I'd say is, having been involved from the start,
Mhm.
this is a highly charged issue.
Yeah,
And I really appreciate the work that you and Dee and Mike have done
thanks.
on helping maybe lower the temperature around
Yeah.
this issue. Because it impacts people.
We've always wanted to have coverage. We just, we just didn't want, I mean, I think there was Ian has said in the meetings a lot of times, you overpromise, under promise and over deliver. It's letting people know, because a lot of people were just under the impression that, the one tower is going to flip a switch and everybody's going to have great coverage. And that's not necessarily the truth, A lot of people don't understand that the charge of the tower was for phone coverage and not, texting and media stuff, so you may not be able to order from Amazon when you're going down Post Center Road, but you'll be able to call, So, and it has to do with the megahertz, whether it's 700 megahertz, 1900 megahertz. So it's very much of a learning curve and an informational thing that people don't understand. So
Really appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you for your work, and I know this board has tried to, and previous boards in this process, tried to make it clear to the community what the promise is of the one tower, and I appreciate this trying to get the community to 95% coverage.
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
in an ideal scenario.
Right.
Maybe one day we'll get there.
Well, and it's funny because in the survey, everybody's got an opinion.
Yes.
What and they do. Unfortunately, we had promised him we wanted to get it out there, because if there's any money to be sent, the budget process starts and all that stuff. I know the town of Bow doesn't want to be in the process of building in the cell tower business, so we've got to send it out to do an RFP for the people that do it, if there's going to be additional towers. So it would be great. We're kind of hoping that they flip the switch for Verizon and we could see how much more coverage we get. But it's funny because one of the questions we asked on the survey is, we're going to do this, would you come to the meeting? And very few people want to come to the meeting. They want to be online and watch the meeting, which is fine. But it's like, there's practice and your meetings and everybody's meetings. But if they can participate, because we were afraid that we would not have a big enough space for people who wanted to come. Because the library only accommodates so many. So we're like, should we try to get a room at the high school? And then we got this back and it said like 45 people want to come, but 700 people want to get online for it. So it'll be interesting.
David, do we have an update on when the Verizon equipment will be up and operational?
No, we
I know they had hired
Other than
a
they-
contractor and it was
So
getting closer.
it's this fall.
Yeah, that's what we're going with because that's what we know.
Because, they pulled the permit, so that's a step. There's conduit there, so that's another step, but
So it's this fall, but Selectman Nicopolis brings up a very good point, right? So he was thinking about things that were quite a bit of time ago. And so I think maybe that is probably also gonna be stuck in people's minds. So again, it goes back to like the messaging and realizing that this is actually kind of new, this is very new, right?
Mhm.
Regardless of what speculation was or thoughts were in the past, right? This is kind of a new
Mhm.
layer, so the messaging will have to be, is really important for people to understand that it's different.
Yes.
And I think when the kids are back in school too, and we see what the service looks like when it's under load.
Mhm. Right.
Which is more than one person going and running to the track and,
Right.
Yes.
checking their phone. When all of those kids have their cell phones on and they're trying to use them, does that affect the kind of coverage
Right.
that we can count on? And so I appreciate that this is really taking that holistic approach.
It is completely holistic, and so like think about the Olympic rings, right? So basically that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
do, is like, let's have every ring touch, right?
Yeah.
So even if it does work at AT&T at the high school, that's fine, we need overlay to help skip down the line even further, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you for all your hard work. I'm only new to the committee, so I've learned a ton.
You've had a lot of input, so it's been,
Learned a ton.
Has he been causing you trouble?
oh,
Oh,
it's the rabbit hole you never wanted to go down.
Great, well, thank
Okay.
you so much. Is there anything else that we should know?
You need to accept the report, or I don't know. That's what,
I think because we're not taking any action, we have,
Right.
it's been received.
okay, and it'll be on the website if anybody wants to see it. Okay,
Wants to read and.
thank you.
Is
Thank
your,
you so
is your committee planning on continuing to meet throughout?
We don't
In
know,
other words, if we do not take action tonight or next month or in September,
Mhm.
do you still intend to have regular meetings?
I would think that it's, in the best interest to have somebody watching the chicken house, that type of thing. So our next meeting is the 5th, which is just right prior to, and we'll go over the
The
presentation.
torch needs to be carried, right? I mean, it's
Right.
it's not Dave's job to seek out. I don't
Right.
think necessarily tower builders.
And we've had, in the course of all of this, we've been in contact with many people that have expressed interest and they, it's funny, it's not a niche type of thing. They all do something different. One guy does everything, incurs all the costs, and then, whatever. And then like Rising Tide, they're builders, they came in, they built it and they sold it. So that's what they do. So.
On that, do we have, so there was a purchase and sale, right? It's an executed purchase and sale, yet, and there's Rising Tide sold it.
no,
And so I'm curious, how much are they selling it
Yeah.
for?
No, they haven't closed yet. So they had the assignment that the board did, the estoppel, but it hasn't been finalized. I know they're still putting together some more info and everything, but it's all the details like with a closing, hey, can we have a copy of this?
Right.
So I would imagine it's any time now.
But SBA Communications is, they have stuff everywhere, so they have a lot of towers, so,
Great.
okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Next up, we have Robin and Rob for a Community Power Committee update. Come on up.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How is everybody?
Your arm.
I broke my arm.
Oh, no.
I was having so much fun until I wasn't,
Oh.
but
Which one did you break?
I left. Oh,
It's broke mine in June.
my radial phone, so yeah,
You compare them.
but no surgery.
Guess you weren't having that much fun.
No.
So Robin is on later in the consent too for appointment. You stepped up, agreed to serve as our town rep on the council, the Merrimack County, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay. And you met, yep, go ahead.
Yep, I'm Robin Surratt. I'm the vice chair of the Community Power Committee here in Bow. This is Rob. He's on the committee with me. So I just have like a quick update. I attended a Merrimack County Community Power Council meeting yesterday. It was very brief. It was our first one. Going forward, they're going to be held quarterly. Those days haven't been determined yet, but some things that came out of that meeting, the Merrimack County will be supplying us with a banner, poster, 4 yard signs, and 250 handouts for us to supply throughout the town. Probably have some here at the office. I think we said have some at the library.
Yeah.
Just to kind of announce that Bo has entered into the Merrimack County Community Power. They also are going to supply some rate cards showing the new rates and that they came in at the lowest rate for any of the utilities, which is good. We like to see that.
It was 8.1,
8.60.
8.60.
Yeah, and Unitil is at 10.50.
Thanks, Chris isn't hearing it.
I know, he's not used to this. Eversource I know just went up.
I'll let.
Yeah. We'll all let them know.
Right.
Yeah, we'll all have fun letting them know.
Text going.
I'm pretty sure we have a couple Eversource customers here in town. Eversource is at 10.4. So anyway, it's a good deal. So we're excited for that.
Next.
So we'll get that stuff out of the library, town office. Because there was one question at the last meeting. That the people will have the chance to opt out
Yes.
very early on in the process.
Yes.
Yes.
And that will be very clear to them.
Yes,
Yes.
there'll be a mailing going out probably any day now,
Okay.
because it needs to be 2 weeks before the information session, which is scheduled for the 23rd,
Yep, the 23rd.
23rd at the library.
August 23rd?
Yes, August. And that will be very clear as to how to opt out. There'll be a website and a phone number, I believe.
Okay, great, thank you.
And sure, we will make sure that this gets posted on the Facebook page and website and in advance of this meeting. And the opt-out information as much as possible.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of it online already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll use town social media to promote them.
Sonia, can you send us invites to these public information sessions?
The one for,
Both
Is it-
of them, for telecommunications and.
I didn't know about the telecommunications one until tonight, but I did send you
Yeah.
one already for Baker Free Library.
Wanna make sure.
And tomorrow I'll make note to find out more information about the September 9th one, because I wasn't aware of that one.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What else do you have for us?
I have the Merrimack County Community Power website launched yesterday. So I looked at it, looks good. Lots of info, very clear instructions on how to opt out, how to opt in, for people who aren't residents of Bow. There's also really good FAQs, a lot of why does this exist in the first place? So I'm happy with it, looks really good.
What is the website?
It is communitypowernh.gov / Merrimack County.
Oops, sorry.
No abbreviation.
So we can get that right now.
No, spell it all out, nice and long.
.gov / Merrimack County.
Mhm.
Can we put that out before?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, perfect. That
I would
was-
just,
that
at
was my
least that could be a
question.
good
Yeah, I think that,
start and then,
yeah, absolutely. That was my question.
and we'll, I'll write
Put it
a
out.
number 3 liner that,
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
is the start.
Run it by community power, make
Yeah.
sure you don't give them any
Yeah.
misleading information.
Yeah. Right.
And you said that was / Merrimack County?
Yeah, whatever the normal /
No, I had Merrimack, I didn't know if you said county after that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, / Merrimack County. Yeah, so we're looking forward to the public information session on the 23rd, 6 PM at the library. CPCNH will be there with me.
Hmm.
And what, are you gonna make it?
I'll be there, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
Any questions, anybody?
No,
This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
I'm excited to see all the information that comes out and make sure everybody is aware and
Yes.
excited for lower.
Oh, yeah, mine last month. But
I'll tell you, I've been using the window air conditioners too much this summer and I am looking forward to some relief from my electric bill. All right, well, thank you so much. Really appreciate all your work on this.
yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
I would make a motion.
Hope you feel better.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the consent agendas, items 1 through 6.
The water abatement, water sewer. Water.
We know how many papers I have here. Yeah, just tell me there was
We gotta add that.
Okay, so is it item 7?
It's the one that's right on top. It's not on the consent agenda.
Right.
So you can say
It would be 7.
record, it would be numbered.
I'm just not seeing a sheet.
Which one is that?
Coming your way.
Right, so we're gonna include the utility water billing warrant in the consent agenda as item number 7, and I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 7.
I'll second.
And then a motion and a second. We don't have to do a roll call because our remote participant has logged off. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda passes. 4 guys. All right, town managers report, David.
Yes, I'll start with that first, with the water billing. We do have our new system. They've done some test reads. Cheryl's worked very hard with Stiles, who's the manufacturer of the equipment, and Whitewater, to get this up and running and, properly charging. There's some expenses for example, and it'll be clearly marked for when they do backflow testing, there's a charge, and fire, if they have a private fire hydrant, there's a charge. So it makes it much clearer. And we're really looking forward to it and making sure we have good, accurate information and billing on a regular basis. We try, but a scheduled basis, knowing when the board is meeting, so we can make sure we stay ahead of it. The meeting streaming and recording project, we submitted payment. E-code rep and Chris are going to be meeting, I think, next week to actually look and, put an X on the wall where things are needed. And they have, at least he's passed it to their equipment ordering department or something like that to get going on the equipment, and they'll have a better idea on availability and time wise, and how the supply chain's going.
This is high priority.
Oh, yeah, it's rolling.
Please stay on top of it with all of the delays.
Yeah,
It
we
really
can't-
needs a close eye on it.
I've been reappointed to the Enhanced 911 Commission representing NHMA and the communities across the state. We did the hazard mitigation, functional needs survey. That's a database that I think Lee's talked about it. The fire department's a similar one where people with, say, medical concerns, or I have a medical machine or breathing machine that's on electric, and it really comes in handy. Particularly, there was one ice storm and the section that was on public service Eversource, there's probably 20, 30 homes. And it was great to have that. We could distribute it to our police department and fire department, so they could go out, do the wellness checks and.
Yeah.
So, and we do have a volunteer. The hardest thing is just keeping up with it. Someone has stepped forward and volunteered to update the database, which is great. I know Lee's been really wanting to do that. We have RFPs out for the Bobog Meeting House painting, heat pumps for this building, and the renovation work in the basement at this building.
I'll do today, I think.
I think so. I think there was one. Was there an opening today or it's?
Yeah.
Oh, you
we
did do one today?
Yeah, we did one today.
Okay,
And did we?
That was the duct.
yeah,
The
these
people-
things.
The people, how many companies bid on that?
Going by memory, I want to say there was 3.
Did I also see we have RFPs out for engineering services?
Yes, we do. And that's for the White Rock and Falcon Way intersection project. So that's out. Those are doing first week of September. So we can get that designed, and then it'll be good to have the engineer on board, because we can also set up a good timing for doing the project with the school district. Obviously, I'm sure they don't want it. If we could, may have to do it summer or at some point where it'll work for them. Rotary Park, that's minor. We have a watering tank system in there that was put in when the park was constructed, and it's close to the roads. Unfortunately, it needs to be changed out. CIP plan preparation, Cheryl's done a great job with that. You know, it's a learning curve. She's worked with these, but of course, every town has a little bit different system and setup. And so she's been doing a great job. They met last night with the school district to start going over theirs. And we have another meeting scheduled. I'm not exactly, can't remember, on Monday for the town stuff. And then they're taking 2-week vacation. And then they're gonna come back and do the rest. So we've been working real hard to get them and really beef up the information that's been in there, and you know, and provide as much as we can to them. Parks and Rec, the BAC Toberfest, the Backtoberfest is on September 28th, 2024. I believe they are working on having fireworks again at the event. So it's a great time. You don't have to be a runner or a walker. You can go to the after. You won't be looked at, you know, if you want to pretend and, you know, if they're on some running clothes, you know. You can't.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, what do you think? Put some water on your face. Page Road Bridge project, we have 2 done it, 2 out of 4 of the easements back. We're doing 3. Oh, good.
We have 1 left.
And we are waiting for a Mylar so we can record that with the easements, so Mylar of each property. And I talked to the engineer from the state today. We checked in on where we're at. He said everything else is ready to go. He had one question on a scope and fee thing that we can do very quickly. And as soon as we get the easement and they're in, we'll put the project out to bid.
Why is there no easement outstanding?
They just haven't. No, I don't think there's a problem with it. It's just getting back. It's just getting back to us.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I don't know which one it is, but they've been all great. And, you know, once we got them out, we were ready to go. And of course, when the project starts, this is the first we've done with a separate engineering firm doing the oversight as the state requires. So once we get that set up and rolling, that's when all the information will go out as far as construction schedule, you know, who to contact, and, you know, if you have a concern that day, there he is. There's, you know, Ian, he's with the engineering firm. There's Kip, he's with the construction company type thing. And, you know, we try to make it as any of these projects as least disruptive as possible. They will be disrupted. But, and then the design, yes, for the Falcon Way. And that is my report.
I had a question about the interconnect with Concord. I saw that Pembroke was awarded $4.5 million in grant for their
PFAS
interconnect
problem
with Concord, and I'm wondering where we are at with after Concord did their study and
we have
what
not heard
updates
from
we're looking at.
Concord. I've talked to the manager, but we have heard nothing from them as far as here's the report. Let's keep going along with this.
And our potential interconnect was also dependent on the outcome of Pembroke, isn't that?
No, not necessarily, but it's part of Concord's plan to be able to get federal funds themselves, you know, by becoming regional and assisting Bow, and especially assisting, you know, Pembroke with their PFAS problems. I guess
Is there a way to get an update on something?
Yeah, I could call
What's the name of the study? Something charge?
it's a system development charge. So what that'll be is that's like your ticket in, and they'll say, okay, Bo, give us 50 grand or 100 grand. That gets put away as part of their larger project they're gonna be doing, which is finding another source. And my understanding, you know, they're looking at potentially drawing from the river and just different treatment methods. So that would be part of it. And I shouldn't throw out that high a number because I don't know what it'll be. But that's what the company did. And they did that for, I think I told the board, the big project that was done with Manchester Waterworks, hooks at a bunch of other towns, the towns to the south to Salem, and But I'll get an update on that.
My other question was, solar. Where are we at with that?
We're waiting on Eric, has the draft contract. It looks ready to go to me, Selectman Nicolopoulos was taking a look at it, I think it looks ready to go for him and. Just waiting to get everything signed.
Okay.
And maybe David, you can follow up and
Yep,
reach
I'll
out to
see what that-
Kearsarge and make sure that they're prepared to sign. But we have given Eric the instruction to get it done. Obviously, summertime, people are on vacation, and so there were some,
Should get back on track though, perhaps set a deadline for. I don't know, September, mid-September, late September to get it moving along. I mean, it's been since March, we approved it, right? So it's.
yeah, I mean, it is a long process because of different applications and things, but yes, it should be.
Sandy.
Sandy Crystal, One Shoreview Drive. I have a question. Is the contract for which sites, or is it for all sites, or the solar?
The town can only contract for the town sites, the school contracts for the school sites.
Okay, and for the town, so I'm just saying so does it include the gravel location? Do you know if there's anything that talks about how they'll do the work? Because I know I'd spoken with Jessica and we talked about minimizing impacts to the existing vegetation because there's a lot of native vegetation there.
My recollection is that there is something to that effect in the contract, and that has been discussed at length with Eric about needing that reassurance from Kearsarge. In our last meeting that included Jessica, this was again reiterated, very clear to Eric so that we know that contract will be exactly what we need, and he's been informed that he's been reminded that he needs to look out for the town's best interests, and that includes, you know, the land's best interest.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is like really, not separate. Is the town coordinating with the school to make sure that the contracts are basically the same? I mean, it would hate to have the town, haven't paid the school more than the town, or vice versa. I mean, is there any way that the town can coordinate with the school with those contracts to make sure that they are basically the same? Because I mean, you're talking about.
They are allowed to talk to each other, the different lawyers for the town and the school.
If they were.
Yeah, but there were separate proposals for the school and the town, and so, you know, our lawyer can't draft up the contract for the school,
Right,
but they can have discussions.
but it just seems strange that they would have two completely different contracts and different amounts and all that sort of thing. It's just.
We have made it clear that our lawyer needs to look out for our best interests. I don't want, because it's contract discussions and things are not signed, I'm hesitant to say too much, except that we have made it abundantly clear that we need to look out for the town's best interests. Any other questions? All right,
I'll make a motion to accept the July 23 board meeting minutes.
second. There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion, edits, suggestions, anything?
I was absent, so I'm gonna abstain.
Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the July 23rd meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, but I did hear.
I abstained because I was at the last meeting.
The motion passes 3-0-1. One abstention. Okay. Next discussion action item, Eagle Trail Bridge.
Just as a refresher for me, we gave the pioneers like some kind of plan for redoing the bridge. And then no work could start before that, because that's what we agreed to.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Mark Doobie, Bull Pioneers, 42 Quimby Road. We have had quite a bit of discussion with Boy Scout Troop 75 here in Bow. And they ignored us for about 4 months. Because we were asking them, are you going to help us to rebuild or repair this bridge? In 2013, when we decided to put this trail in on the Hammond property, the Eagle Scout Trail, okay? We were in agreement with Boy Scout Troop 75 that we will work this in conjunction together, and they were going to maintain and operate it. And Boy Scout Troop 75 will help. It's a 50-50 partnership to keep that well-maintained and up to par. Well, yeah, fast forward, we're here now, right? 2024, bridges broke down. So we're asking Boy Scout Troop, can you come please help us? This was your agreement. We agreed to this. Well, Pioneers agreed to this, that we will install and help and work with you, and you will help us maintain it for years to come. Yes, no problem. Well, fast forward. That's not happening. They're telling us, no, Mr. Doobie, no Bow Pioneers. We have zero interest in helping you to rebuild that bridge.
Was there a contract signed between the two organizations?
It was with Scoutmaster Richardson at the time, back in 2013. And others, not just him. So it was very amicable back then. And now all of a sudden it's not. You know, I'm really disappointed beyond what, I'm an Eagle Scout on top of that. And that had to go through me to arrange this back then, 2013. So now they're telling us no.
Been able to at all reach out to
Oh, yeah.
our Scoutmaster?
Oh, yes, we have. This is why you haven't heard from us, because we have been trying to reach them. They ignored us for about 3 months. And then all of a sudden, we finally reach them, and this is the answer they give us. It's not the same Scoutmaster. Richardson's long gone.
What specifically is the ask? Is the ask to say it's gonna be $4,000 in materials and you
No.
pay $2,000? Like do we need? What specifically is the ask? About it?
It's really simple.
Kids, right?
Yep. We already have the materials. We have everything needed. We have the know-how. We have the equipment. We have everything you can think of we need to redo that bridge. All we're simply asking is for them to come help us. 2 hours, people. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. What is the ask?
I understand.
We're asking them for their help, and they won't give it to us. It's really upsetting.
That, Boy Scouts, troop.
Right.
Shake hands.
Right.
Different families get involved.
Yep.
Without any contract in place. I can't imagine that the Boy Scouts troops are held responsible for any verbal agreement made however many years ago. And so I'm just confused at what.
It was an agreement in good faith.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just.
Okay.
I'm trying to understand what this board can do, because.
You don't need to do anything. This is what we are going to do. We are going, Bow Pioneers will fix that bridge.
Well, both parties are gonna submit a detailed plan on how they're going to.
Why do we need to send out a detailed plan? It's very straightforward. It's a redeck.
For any.
When did this become required?
It is always required there should be a plan in place before any action is taken on town property. This was the agreement of the board. This is the agreement of the Bow Pioneers, who do not currently have permission to or authorization to operate on town property or.
What are you telling, why are you telling me we do not have any authorization to operate on town property right now? Why
That
is
was
that?
over a year ago or about a year ago that was discussed, decided, and voted on by the board. And there has not been a submission of the required materials to entertain a new authorization.
There are 46 bridges in the trail system. I've participated in nearly every one of them. I've been in this club since 2008. Okay? I know very well how to rebuild every one of those bridges, so much so I could do it just about my eyes closed. Okay? So there's never been a problem about a design at any time. We have never, we build them now better than ever.
Anyone's questioning your capabilities. I think the concern is that there are liability concerns when
Yep.
people work on town property.
Mhm.
And I think that's ultimately what this comes back to, right? We
Mhm.
need to know who's working, what area, and what they're doing.
Okay.
So I think if you, by saying come with a detailed plan, if the plan is to redeck the bridge,
That's all it is.
then we'll just come with a picture of the, you know, or approximate location of the bridge and this is.
We're gonna redeck the bridge on
This is-
Saturday, this Saturday, and this Saturday, we're
Yeah.
gonna have
And
X
these are the
number.
materials we'd like to
Were there not
use.
specific instructions on what this process would look like?
It's August, right? It's August and we don't rebuild bridges in August. We don't do them June, July, August. We are done.
That's,
Okay?
that's not the issue, but.
People are on vacation.
Detail of specific things that needed to be done in order for the board to consider a project on town property.
Yeah, I know, just again, I think with these bridges and seeing, you know, you've been in on some of them as well. These bridges, typically the club would come in and say, here's what we are doing, if there was a grant related, if it was grant related, the
Mhm.
board would give approval
Okay.
to do it, but I don't.
There was no grant this spring because we were denied when we already approached for another project. Right? So we didn't didn't have our landowner list caught up again. Sorry, hello, we had that done September, October last year. And then all of a sudden, January 1st, we come back in April. And we'd like some landowner permission, please. We have a couple of projects, this one and another one, and we were turned down. No, Mr. Doobie, no, Andy Foot, we can't approve your request for these projects.
And I understand that the reason, if I remember correctly, the reason that happened was because the owner permission list that was submitted never made it to this board. Somehow whoever received it on the town's end did not bring it to this board, and then in addition to that, there was no formal request was made, you know, so typically you'd say, here are my landowner permissions. Now we're gonna come before the select board and say, we want permission to access these properties, will you give us permission? But without that.
We did
presentation-
we did this last October and it's current with the state of New Hampshire.
Right, but it doesn't come here, and I think that's the concern, right? Cause you're saying why. Your grant probably would have been all set, right, with the exception of getting approved, had you had the process taken place here.
Hmm.
And that's the part that was missing.
Okay, so what are we gonna do in October when we have to do this again?
So, well, and I think you sent an email to Mr. Foot, right, a couple months ago suggesting to come in
yeah.
August.
There was a whole detail.
And that's what
Plan.
the Trail Bureau, they'd also recommended that.
Right,
If this be done in August, so the agreements don't run out in
Right.
December 30, which was this one.
So you don't.
We don't
The gaps.
operate in August. We are off June, July and August.
Just to request permission.
So you wouldn't have gaps for repairs
Mhm.
and eligibility for grants.
Mhm.
So if you want your best chance of getting,
The window is very tight,
yes,
okay?
so to keep
That's
within
why
that window
it's,
on 1 year.
When winter ends, right, when winter ends, spring comes. End of March, middle of April, by May 15th, we have to have our plan together. We have to get our permissions. We have to put the numbers together and we gotta act fast.
So the suggestion was to come to us around August or September, so that in September, let's say September of 24, you guys come in, this is our land order list, these are the permissions we want, these are the land parcels we want to access.
Yeah.
And that approval that you get
Mm-hmm,
will be good for your grooming season,
mm-hmm.
right? For
We operate from fall to spring.
right, your grooming season for 24, plus your repair season when you
In the fall.
apply for the other grants for spring repairs to bridges.
Summer grant and aid happens in the spring. We do the repairs to the fall after the money is granted to us after July 1st.
So my point is that you're able to get those or qualify for those grants because your permissions run from August to August, right? So you're not running out.
We're not doing it from August to August. We're not going to do it August to August.
Physically, I understand, physically, you're not doing the work in August.
Right.
The paperwork needs to start in August, so then it can go the full calendar year. So you have it ready to go when you are ready to do the work.
We already had it done in last October. The only thing that you didn't receive is,
The clock ran out.
how did the clock run out?
Because no one approved it,
The state, it's current with the state.
but it's not.
Right now.
Property.
All of the names, it doesn't matter whether it's state, town, or whoever, or private property, they have them all.
What you're suggesting is that you submitted to the state
Yes,
in January.
October, last October.
October of 23.
Yep,
And when you submitted in October of 23,
Mhm.
you included permissions from this board
That we're
to
never,
access public property, town property.
we
But
got,
we never gave those permissions in October of 23.
you never did. You never got that.
No, we
you
never,
never came before
We
the
never came
board
before the
for a
board in
vote
October
on
23.
permissions for operating on town property.
Okay.
I
So,
haven't
so
seen-
somebody dropped the ball here somewhere, and that person is not me. I'm not the maintainer of the list. I am a trail master.
just so you're aware, that's the current situation. That's why something
That
got
step was
messed up.
missed.
Some
Yeah.
step was missed.
Yeah, a lot of money got lost.
Mhm.
That step was missed.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's really,
So I don't want a repeat of this because we've got plenty of other projects coming up ahead.
that's
You
what
guys
the
do,
suggestion was.
you guys
this
do a lot of
August.
great work. You guys do a lot of great work.
Yes,
I walk on those trails frequently. But if you start the paperwork now and have it ready for September, then you can submit a full checklist to the Bureau of Trails. Probably get the grants, right, to be on time for that, and then it runs you through the whole year again.
Yeah.
So there is just a step was missed.
yeah, and
Oh.
it happens. We're nonprofits, we're volunteers,
Yep,
everybody's doing their best.
yep. Okay, so I don't really want another repeat of this. I really don't, because we spent, a lot of volunteer time and money for nothing this past spring. Okay, so
With the organization that stay on.
it's the middle of August. Yep,
Requirements, and then we won't have.
it's the middle of August and,
Anytime
we,
you'd like to be added to the agenda, please feel free.
yep. All right.
And in the meantime, the Eagle Trail Bridge, do you think you could get because you said you have the materials.
we will-
you need the power.
We just need the manpower.
So do you think you can submit something?
I can submit you a plan. I'll draw something up. It's simple.
Okay.
Okay, so that will take care of that. The last thing I wanted to know about is the Sawmill Loop Trail, where we're at with that.
So there, Dave, do you have any update?
No.
I believe there was a communication between Mr. Foote and Carrie Mackin, and that was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And I think that's where it was left off. It was left in, I believe, his hands or the Pioneer's hands to provide some documentation for the state.
You just need to know what you want the trail to look like, where it would go through, so that we
Okay.
can start a process.
All right, so the last I knew, I saw a proposal for 2 different pathways. I also understand that you had gone with Andy at one point, walked it all down. And there were two proposals, maybe two ideas, two ways of connecting that, completing that trail. Yes,
Yes, it seemed like they had a few options.
Okay.
Options.
One crossed over sawmill. They crossed over sawmill in different areas is what it was. So we walked it with Andy months ago. And then he has had communication with Carrie that there is a process. It's not just, we want a trail here, let's cut down some trees. There's permits that need to happen. And and he's been informed of what needs to be done to get those permits from Carrie in the planning department.
Would you
Okay.
be included on these emails moving forward?
that would be great, because I've been kind of like held in the dark about that one. Usually I'm on top of it, but we've had some reorganization recently. We have some new people and,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
bad, yeah.
yeah,
And so going back to Eagle Trail, my understanding, just so we're very clear, is if we can have that plan with David or whoever David does.
Yeah.
We can, at the next meeting, say, good job
it's 20 feet of lumber, 20 feet of redeck. That's all it is.
on file.
The timbers are all fine and everything there. It's just at the top deck.
Structure, so.
Yeah, the structure itself is fine. And it's a short bridge. The other two bridges that pass through there are perfectly fine now. I inspected them all. And I went through there. The only concern about that middle one is in the past when we built it, that it was very wet. There was one section coming in from Branch Londonderry going up the trail across the first bridge. You go to the second one, there was a wet section through there. And certain times when things are wet, you're gonna have a hard time getting a truck through there. So we're not going that pathway, even though it's a dry summer. We're gonna do it in a different way with a much lighter trail and the use of like an ATV and a light trailer to move materials. Because I'm not risking getting my truck stuck in that. I'm sorry. No.
Mr. Doobie, can I give you some information?
Yeah.
So July 26th, I believe, was the last communication between Carrie and Mr. Foote. And there is someone named Kevin Sullivan of New Hampshire Fish and Game.
Yep.
Who's gonna work on the proposal.
Yep.
I believe he needed more information from the pioneers.
He needed Fish and Game needed more?
I believe that's how we left it, so
Okay,
that's all the details I have.
okay,
Follow up, maybe.
yeah. Well, Andy's out of town right now. He's on vacation, is up north. So I'll catch up with him this evening about that. Okay, so more info needed from Andy on that trail. All right. That was New Hampshire Fish and Game.
Kevin Sullivan, yep, New Hampshire Fish and Game.
Okay,
He is aware of it. Carrie had spoken to him. He'll likely need some more information, including photographs of the trails and where it will connect at either end.
okay. Fair enough. We'll take care of that.
Yeah, so looking at, we'll get that plan, we'll look on the 10th.
Keep forgetting that. Oh, it's an election.
Yeah, that's.
Meeting.
17th.
17th, okay.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
No, that's all I have. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome. It'll be really simple to put together a photo and I'll print something off and show you a plan. It's just a redeck. It's not rebuild. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
We did storage options. What
Yeah,
did they-
Chris and Tim have been looking, but what Chris would like to do is see if there's a board member, since it's eventually gonna come back to the board, to kind of work with him as well and look around and try to resolve these questions of storage and space and.
Selectmen Planning is on the building
I am.
facilities committee, and his summer vacation is winding down.
I'm happy to do that.
Right.
Back to work.
Back to reality.
Shucking oyster.
Yeah.
Never do that again.
Was there anything else on that?
That's it.
Good luck. Item number 4. Accepting the resignation from the Energy Committee of Jessica Dunbar. This board would like to extend great thanks to Jessica Dunbar for her work on the Energy Committee and getting it started and seeing through multiple projects. Valuable member of the board, and we appreciate all of her efforts and reluctantly accept her resignation. My understanding is she's moved out of the area,
They're great people, very good people.
sadly.
For both. Yeah, it's a loss for both.
Yes, I want her to commute back, but that might be asking too much, and
My understanding is, the expo, she's still gonna help with the expo until they can get somebody. That was my understanding the last time
Oh,
we corresponded together, but.
Tanya,
rope her back in for the
Tanya, you
next
miss her
thing.
kids. We miss her kids coming to
Yes.
visit.
Oh,
Wallace.
yes.
Comes in and gets lollipops.
Yeah.
All right, we are on reports, right to know log, anything
Make a
new?
motion on that.
Yes, do we need a motion on?
On a resignation.
I'll make a motion to regretfully accept the resignation of Jessica Dunbar from the Energy Committee.
And let's send.
Second.
And we'll send it. Okay, all those in favor, reluctantly in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? I would like to be opposed, but I will not be opposed, so the motion passes 4-0. Right to know log. Page 23. Anything new?
So at the end of this, the last one down, what does that mean, the waiting on? Waiting on.
So this involved a CD of digital photos, so before I can release it, I need to get paid.
Got it, so it's done.
It's done, so I'm just waiting, and I actually already received the check yesterday, and
Got
the
it.
photos have been mailed out.
Okay,
And ARPA, there really hasn't been any movement or changes. And then the outstanding projects, I'll get you the up-to-date one, but I know it's part of our discussion on the 17th, is that at 5, correct? The goals and the
yes,
kind of merge them, meld them back together with
with pizza.
pizza.
Selectman Nicolopoulos is.
Oh, yeah,
buying
that's right.
everyone pizza, as long as Tanya can facilitate.
I just need to know what kind. I got his credit card.
Awesome. I will get back to you with a long list.
Sorry, I was 17 at 5.
Yes,
Yes.
that one starts at 5, and you should have it on your calendar already.
Got it,
I mean, Selectman.
Selectman Ian.
Selectman Ian.
Anything else? We're on bottom lines. Selectman McDaniel, would you like to get us started? No. You.
I'll go first.
Okay, Selectman Flanagan, let's hear it.
I just think it's amazing the amount of hours that were put into the hazard mitigation plan. So thank you, Selectwoman Colby, for your tireless work, and Lee Kimball and all the others.
No, we're tired.
That's.
Wireless.
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh.
Well, I would extend it to the volunteers, you know, from on committees and people like Mr. Dubey in town who are, you know, going far and beyond what most people do for the town. So it's great to just have people involved always, including Sandy.
Look at me.
Thank you, Colby.
Right, so the only update I think I've had since our last meeting, we already did hazard, would be the Heritage Commission. They are on fire.
All right.
So the Heritage Commission has the walls downstairs nearly covered in photography. They have had 9 to 10 work sessions on the bottom floor. Properly public noticed work sessions. They do have their new cataloging software. They are utilizing Past Perfect, and it is installed, and they're currently doing training on that. Don't be surprised if, because they by RSA have to keep a accurate inventory. Don't be surprised if their budget comes in a little bit higher this year than in past years, because they are taking on a annual service with Past Perfect. They will be attending a community fair that's going to be held in conjunction with the BHS Open House on the 29th. So they will be setting a table up for the community fair portion. The community fair is going to be running from 5:30 to 7, and the open house for both high school students is from 5:30 to 8.
What date is that again? The 20?
That is 29th.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right, you mentioned today.
Yeah, we sent it to the vice chair.
And I think from their perspective, they're doing great work. I don't know if anyone has a chance to contact someone on the committee and go downstairs and see what they've done. It's looking so good.
Yeah.
And everybody, don't care who you vote for, get out and vote. September 10th is the primary for New Hampshire. So that's it.
Well, that's a perfect lead into what I was gonna say. September 10th, there's a primary. Our town clerk has absentee ballots available now, and there's information on our website about sample ballots, about how to apply for an absentee ballot if that is something that you need. September 10th is the primary, and good luck to our new selectmen who will be working that. And everybody make sure you make a plan to vote, and if you have any questions, I know Merdula knows it like the back of her hand and will be able to answer. There's also a supervisor of the checklist meeting coming up on September 4th, I believe. For anybody that needs to register for the first time, 12 to 12:30. And then, of course, we do have same day registration available on election day, September 10th. And I'm hoping everything goes smoothly.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have total trust in our team. It's always done such a great job.
Peter wrote the manual or the hand guidebook that they use, or he was one of the.
Yeah.
That they do in moderators workshops.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that. Or he had a big part in it. Yeah. Yeah.
And good luck to, since we won't be meeting before school starts, good luck to all of our students and families and teachers and school community members who will be starting school in about 2 weeks. So long, summer. Welcome back to school. And that wraps it up for me, but I think we have a non-public. So this will conclude our public meeting, and we will go into non-public RSA 91A:3
To C.
C. Okay.
Good to go on that.
Yeah. She said roll call, right?
You do need a roll.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. If you're in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. We will going into non-public, we will not be returning to public except to officially adjourn the meeting. You won't be missing anything.